Welcome to the Decompression Chamber. I'm Andrea, and joining me this week is Tim Cochrane. How you doing today, Tim?
Outstanding. Outstanding, Andrea. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Really excited to get your story. They always say once a Marine, always a Marine. I knew you were a Marine, and that was about as much as I knew. So, uh, really happy to have you on today and filling me in. But of course, Marines are made; they're not born necessarily. So, where were you born?
Well, if you didn't notice with this Brooklyn accent, born and raised Brooklyn, New York. Um, you know, not so interesting story. 8 kids in a two-bedroom apartment in Sunset Park, So
Wow.
uh Marine Corps turned out to be my best option.
Well, yeah, you're probably just blown away by the amount of space that you got in boot camp. You know, you got your own rack.
Yeah,
Holy cow.
exactly. And my own bunk bed.
Yeah, you didn't have to share it with anybody. The life of luxury.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm one of 8 kids. So
Wow.
we
Are
had we
you?
had 5 boys in one bedroom, 3 girls in another, and mom and dad in the living room type of thing. So
Holy cow.
it's
Now, were you? Where were you in that order? Oldest, youngest, middle?
I'm number 6. I
Number
have two
six.
two younger brothers. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at least you weren't picked last. So that's.
Yeah, no, no, I was kind of lost in the shuffle. Trust me.
Or did it? Did you kind of feel like you didn't do enough to deter your parents from having more children? So feel like you kind of failed?
It's like I don't even know how they had time or where they actually had the opportunity. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like it's amazing to me. And you think about what so I wound up having 4 kids myself. And
Hmm.
when I think back on, my old man was a cop
Oh
on a
wow.
cop salary, raising 8 kids anywhere, anytime. It's just amazing how they got through, but they did, and everybody seems to have done well. And uh,
That's
you know,
amazing.
it was a different time, but we,
Well, different time or not, I mean, in big city life to have that deep of a bench
yeah,
is
yeah.
impressive. You know, and no matter what your job is, whether you're a cop or you're doing something else. I mean, that's a huge responsibility and not a lot of real estate to raise them on.
No, my
Um,
old man worked a lot of overtime. Let's put it that way.
I can imagine if for no other reason just to get out of the house probably sounds like
Exactly, no doubt about it.
sounds like a pressure cooker. So, okay, so you're Sunset Park, Brooklyn, and what? Obviously you see civil service all around you with your dad being a cop, but did you
Yeah.
have know anyone in the military, anyone in your family, or what'd you
So
think
my
about it?
uncle Frank was a sergeant major in the Marine Corps,
Wow.
and Korean War vet. Frozen Chosen. My uncle Joey was a Marine Corps vet. My uncle Philly, my uncle Bobby. I mean, it was just my father was one of 7,
Wow.
uh, and my mother was, had 4 in her family. And, it was just everybody served back then. So it was
Sure.
always part of growing up.
Hmm.
Um, and the Marine Corps, was kind of brought home by my uncle Frank because he really put his life into it.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like. I mean, you don't make it to E9 by accident. I mean, you're that's your path. Wow. So, uh, you're wrapping up high school. Is that something that you wanted to do right out of high school? Did you take a year
Yeah, well,
off?
look, I often tell the story that I was, I wasn't even thinking about the military, but, um, and as a senior in high school, I was working a 40-hour week in McDonald's. It was like,
Really?
everybody worked, and
Sure.
um,
Had to.
I had the opportunity to, I often say I was a postage stamp because I met the Marine Corps recruiter coming through the drive-through one night, and he was like, at that point, my claim to fame, I was the youngest assistant manager in the tri-state area for McDonald's at 17. Um,
Not half bad.
and he came through and he was like, "What are you doing in this one-way loser job?" And I was, "Loser? I'm assistant manager." And
Yeah.
days later, I was in Syracuse with my hand in the air. I was
Oh
like,
boy.
but I got a guaranteed MOS. Little did I know where that was going to lead me.
Yeah,
But I figured I was going nowhere. My career
yeah,
was not going to college. That was not an option for me. McDonald's, I didn't see as a career path at the time. And to be able to get an electronics background in the Marine Corps and guaranteed sounded like a great path for me. And, you know,
absolutely.
that's what I often tell people is that, as you know, we've been blessed to spend so much time with thousands and thousands of men and women as they transitioned out of the military.
Yes.
I'd love to say there were all these great patriots that were going in the Marine Corps or the Army because they wanted to serve Uncle Sam. But the fact of the matter is it's their best option for most of them. They're leaving
Oh, for
small
sure.
town USA, kind of like, and taking advantage of it. The problem lies when they get out, right? Because they
Yes.
don't know how to transition those skills into meaningful employment. So,
Oh,
um,
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, the path is not always paved. Sometimes that trail has to be blazed, but
right. Yeah. And that was my case. I get in the Marine Corps and I was blessed. I get this electronics background and all, but they shipped my ass off to Guantanamo Bay, and so
oh yeah.
I
You're
wound up, being the mine detector repairman in
of all
Gitmo.
things.
And right, and
Nice.
like nobody signs up to be the mine detector repairman, and then
Yeah.
when you're coming out, nobody's looking for a mine detector repairman. So
Yeah, if they are, you're looking at Africa, you're not working
exactly,
in the States.
exactly. It's like, dude, where am I going? And so uh, for all these men and women that do go in, that's the biggest hurdle is what I did in the military. And like I
Yeah.
said, nobody signs up for that job, right? So you might get assigned a job like that. I thought I was going to go into communications. I wind
Right.
up in the minefields of Guantanamo. Um,
Yeah.
and you're coming out and you don't know what that looks like into a great job, right? Not to mention, maybe I wanted to go into healthcare, but yet, I was sold by the recruiter on technology. Took whatever the hell I
Yeah.
could get. That was my
Of
option.
course.
So, a lot of those things play into, what happens to folks as they're coming out.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Now, did you spend your entire enlistment down in Guantanamo? And how long was your
Just,
enlistment? 4 years?
just about, yeah, 4 years, six,
Wow.
two inactive.
Hmm.
I was 2 years out in school, over a year in Gitmo, and then I was connected to an engineer platoon down in Lejeune. I came out of 8th Engineers, and that's when I got out of the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Wow.
so yeah, and it was like, look, I even it sounds like holy crap, he's walking around in minefields. And dude, Gitmo, um, it was a desert island. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you're 20 years old. It's like
Yeah.
the one thing is that most of our days ended at 11, 12 o'clock when it got too hot to get out in the sun. You don't want to be messing around with equipment and
Oh yeah.
slippery hands. And next step was you were on a beach. So, but
Yeah.
at the time, you're not thinking about life, and so I
Yeah.
had a really good experience overall in the Marine Corps. But I couldn't wait to get the hell out. I was
Oh, of
like,
course.
and
Yeah.
nobody was going to tell me what I was going to do. It was like, give me my DD 214 and get me the hell out of here. I'm
Oh, of
done.
course. Yeah. I could not wait. I mean, everyone always talking about reenlisting for the benefits. What? Have you been here the last 4 years?
Yeah, right. Like the reenlistment bonus. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So of course, you're still a young guy. You're getting out. Did you have any inkling of what you were gonna do? I mean, probably
well,
not
I,
go
I
back to
really did.
McDonald's, but
I thought I was gonna my I had met a girl
great.
who I felt I was gonna marry, and her brother was a Verizon executive, and I thought for sure I'd get a technology job, and then I didn't qualify.
Yeah,
And so I
jeez.
thought I was going to go into communications. That didn't work out. And then I literally was on 20 interviews I just had no business being on. I was lost. I thought for
Wow.
sure,
Yeah.
I'd be a cop or a fireman. That was going to be my route.
Sure.
I only wound up at the New York Stock Exchange through sheer luck, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you? I mean, through sheer luck, of course, but how do you get into that? I mean, right place, right time. Who do you meet?
Absolutely. I mean, it was one of those. People knew I was looking for a job. I had come back home. I was living in my sister's basement on a cot, uh,
Hmm.
and somebody called me up and said, "Hey, I know the guy who runs technology at the New York Stock Exchange, and he's former military. He said he'd give you an interview." Um,
Amazing.
and I was like, "I'm in," and I went
Yeah.
in. And I'll never forget it. I sat down in front of this guy, and he said, "All right." He laid a schematic out in front of me, and he said, "All right, follow the signal from there to there, and tell me, how it goes through these transistors and capacitors and all." And I looked at it, my face turned white, sweat started coming down. I was like, He goes, "You've never seen anything like this before, have you?" I said, "Never." He reached down and grabbed it, rolling the ball, shot it in the basket. He said, "Shit, you survived Paris Island. I can train you." And
Amazing.
the rest was history. Next thing you know, I'm fixing ticket tape machines on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
What?
It
Yeah. What?
was crazy. No, but then I was like, you know, and I'm a faithful guy.
Sure.
I know God, puts us where He wants us to be, and there are no coincidences. And I was literally, I was blessed with really good people in my life from that point on, and I
Okay.
struggled. I mean, I had problems with substance abuse. I was heading really down the rabbit's hole because I really felt one of the biggest things I hit was I didn't feel like I fit in. Uh, you
Yes.
know,
Imposter syndrome.
I get on the floor of the exchange, and who's got a Wharton's degree, who's got a Princeton degree, whose father got off the Mayflower. It's like, holy hell, I don't fit in here. Get me back in uniform and get me a weapon.
Yeah.
So I struggled with that. Um,
Sure.
on top of just adjusting to, being a civilian. But
Yeah.
really cool story. I'm walking across the floor, literally like the second week I'm there, and this guy taps me on the shoulder and he says, "Hey, kid, where'd you get that tie clip?" And I was wearing a Marine Corps tie clip. People
Yeah.
wore ties back then.
I know. Of all
Uh,
things, the horror.
yeah. So I said, "What the hell are you talking about? I earned it." And he started laughing. He said, "Come with me, kid." And that guy turned out to be Command Sergeant Major Peter Haas. Now, Peter Haas has a room named after him down at the Marine Corps Museum,
Really?
down in Quantico. Yeah, he was Chesty Puller's uh, Command Sergeant Major in the Frozen Chosen, right? The most decorated Marine Corps officer of all time. And this guy served with him. And
Amazing.
I found out they had a bit of a Marine Corps mafia on the floor of the exchange, a bunch of guys
Of
who had
course they
served.
do.
Absolutely. Uh, and so I entwined myself with them and had good mentors. And, uh, you know, next thing you know, I'm a stockbroker. And it was just crazy.
Yeah. Well, and I just like the Marine veterans. They didn't have a union because that would suggest, organization and advocacy. It was a mafia using violence and terrorism.
Listen, you go with what you know.
No, but that's great. Just to have that connection and really, I mean, I imagine this
Well,
command
listen, you
sergeant
you know
major.
as well as I know, and the Marine Corps obviously is an interesting bunch. But whether it's Navy, Army, Air Force, the platform that you're coming off of, the basic disciplines that you have, you know, it's different than what
Yes.
you see coming out of school in corporate America. And I'm sorry, those folks set themselves apart. They
Yes.
do, they're higher than their average college degree person coming out of school. Now, listen, some people, obviously excel one way or the other, but there is a foundation that you bring to the table being in the military that
Oh yeah.
the problem is we don't know how to utilize it. We don't know
Right.
how to sell it, so that those slimy civilians can figure out exactly what we do bring to the table. It takes time, and by then
Mhm.
you've gone through a lot of changes.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's I just I know people because I'm from California originally. I know people who've never left, and in California, especially the Bay Area, you do get to experience a lot of different things. But if you've never left there, it shows. And I see these people, and it's like, are you a person? What happened? They're just
Exactly.
impossible to talk to.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, plenty to be said for military service. Just your ability to endure and just not raise an eyebrow to the craziest thing anyone else has ever seen. Staying calm under pressure. Uh, so what year is it that I mean, because you're working on stock exchange, but then you actually get, like you say, you get mentored, you become a stockbroker yourself. About
Yeah.
what year is this?
Yeah. So I get to the floor in 85. Uh, and then around 88. So
Mm-hmm.
85, I get down there as a technician fixing the machines.
Mm-hmm.
Right back in the day, when like trading places, you got thousands
Yeah,
of people screaming, paper. Every single trade was put on a piece of paper,
incredible.
and would go in the machine, and that's what you would see go out to the world.
Yeah.
And we fixed those machines. And so I was assigned a post 12, which is not there anymore. But when they knocked it down, they actually gave me the symbol. It's downstairs. I should put it up in here.
Yeah, yeah,
But
of
I have the
course.
post 12 symbol. That was my post on the floor.
Wow.
And I was the only technician who went on to be a member of the exchange and own a seat. Um, so it was a crazy run. But
Yeah.
um, one of the guys, one of the guys down there was what they call the specialist, was out of his mind. And if he had a bad day or a bad trade, he'd break the machine, stick his ham sandwich in it, pour his coffee, whatever, he'd
Oh,
take it out on the equipment. And
what
one
a
day the
nightmare
exchange
individual.
came down and said, listen, you break that damn machine one more time, we don't give a shit how much money you make. Your ass is out of here. We'll suspend you for it. So, and when they walked away, he came over to me and said, hey, Timmy, do me a favor. Stand here. If I lose my mind, fix the damn machine before the exchange finds out. I'll give you $100 a week.
All
Now,
right.
back in '88, that was a lot of money, $100 a week. I never moved
And,
from that spot. But
oh, of course not.
while I was standing there, after a few weeks, he said, shit, why am I giving you $100 a week? Why don't I make you my clerk? I teach you how to trade. And then if I break the machine, you can fix it while you're
Yeah.
standing there.
Yeah.
And the firm pays you.
Of
Next thing you
course.
know, I'm a specialist clerk. And then I was working for a firm, and that time, like, capital markets were exploding up into the late '80s into the early '90s. I
Hmm.
mean, every American had a stock brokerage account, right, with Charles Schwab or whatever, and
I do.
still everything was going through the New York Stock Exchange. So there
Hmm.
was an incredible amount of opportunity, um, and I seized it. I had a friend of a friend type of thing who came over to me one day and said, "Hey, there's a seat available. You you can do this. Why don't you become a stockbroker and
Wow.
become an independent floor operator? Take a lease. Worst case scenario is you fail, and you go back to being a clerk."
Yeah.
And the rest is history. I went on to build one of the largest independent floor operations, had 7 seats, 35 sales traders, and but it was,
Wow.
as I tell everyone, more
Yeah.
balls than brains, and right place, right time. But
Of
it
course.
also comes down to the
Capitalizing on
people.
someone's anger management problem. I mean, who
Yeah.
else could do that?
Well, dude, there was times where I was gonna, especially as a tech, like I'd be fixing machines and they'd be dropping papers on my head, all these friggin', and I was like, I'm gonna stick a screwdriver in somebody's forehead here. I
Oh,
gotta get the
yeah.
hell out of here.
Yeah. Snap like an
They
old rubber
they don't
band.
know what they're messing with, but
Yeah.
I was lucky. I really was lucky.
Good for you. That's incredible. Now, you know, I got to imagine that the trading floor is a very very high security area, always has been, but especially now post 9/11. I mean, what
Sure.
was there ever a time when you were working there, like filming movies? Because you had mentioned trading places earlier.
Yeah. No, I mean, I probably met the biggest stars in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's just amazing. I mean, I literally was standing on the floor one day, and they were launching DreamWorks, and Steven Spielberg said, "Do you mind if I take a picture of you?" I mean, I like,
Yeah.
standing next to David Geffen and Steven Spielberg, you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's so, but, and I back then, nobody had cameras like they have today. So I don't have any pictures of anything. I mean, I have a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Later on, I took a bunch of pictures, but yeah, we were blessed,
Yeah.
but the world, you mentioned 9/11. I mean, the world really changed on September 11th for me and the business and the way we did business. I happened to be there on 9/11, and um, the world changed for us, financial services as a whole. You
Hmm.
know, um, it started realizing that having people on a floor trading, and then something could happen and that shut down for a week. You can't have the capital markets shut down for a week. So slowly but surely it started transitioning into a electronic marketplace.
Hmm. Wow. It's I'm starting to get an echo from myself. I'll have to fix that in post. But okay, so 9/11 happens, there's some readjustments going on, of course. How much longer are you in that business, cuz
So
of
I
course.
stayed. Yeah, I was. Well, I'm actually back, but so I stayed on, trying to continue the business till around 2006, 2007, right around in there. And I
Mhm.
decided that, we had downsized the firm.
Okay.
Uh, it was to the point of, the floor was imploding. There was nobody, it was starting to everybody leave. I actually ran for Congress at that point. I
Really?
left the floor. I started a real estate company. I was just trying to find myself.
Mhm.
Um, and then I wound up coming back to my firm. I never left. So I still had an interest in my firm, but I left my day-to-day service,
Sure.
on the floor, to try to pursue a couple of interests. And then I went back, and that's when I found ACP.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Well, yeah, cuz okay, so you're leaving the day-to-day stuff like right before the housing bubble, and then that's about the time that you got into real estate. So,
exactly. Exactly. It
uh,
wasn't a pleasant experience.
no,
Uh,
I can't
I'm
imagine
the
it would
only
be.
idiot. I'm the only idiot who started a real estate and construction group and building management group at the height of a biggest downturn in New York real estate. So,
Well,
uh,
hindsight's 2020, but yeah,
yeah,
it's certainly unfortunate timing. But yeah, of course, that's where I run into you is at ACP, and I forget would have started there what in 2016 or 2015.
yeah, around then, right
Okay,
around
yeah,
then.
yeah, because I started late 2018. So yeah, and
Yeah,
you because you were there about what 6 years all told,
5 years,
5 years. Okay.
and I still advise there. So it's I love the program, right? I love
Oh
everything
yeah.
about it. Yeah, no, I found ACP was a fluke. I was trying to build out a portion of the business, what we call commission recapture business, and came across ACP, and it turned out one of the guys that I knew, actually, the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, a guy named Dick Grasso,
Hmm.
was connected to the founder of ACP, and I tried to get him. They were looking for a president at the time.
Okay.
Um, and I tried to get an interview, and I did.
Hmm.
That old can-do attitude, and
Of
be
course.
careful what you ask for. But
Yeah.
I fought like hell to get an interview,
Sure.
and because they were hiring a president, and I thought, with my background from the Wall Street and
Oh, of
corporate,
course.
blah blah blah. But anyway, I went in there and they talked about a program that they were looking to build, and they asked me if I would lead that. It was called the Citizens Program,
Hmm.
because ACP was built along the lines of corporates, but a
Yeah.
lot of individuals wanted to help veterans also.
Hmm.
And so they asked me if I would build that out. And of course, I had great success, and fell in love with the program. I mean, as you and I both know, it's life changing for the men and women who
Absolutely.
take part in it. And so, it was very enriching, the actual program piece of it for me.
Yeah.
And I did that for almost 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that was always fun. Like as early as I would come in, you were always there before me. Uh, you know, microwaving your coffee. You'd been there long enough for your coffee to go cold. That blew my mind.
I still microwave my coffee when I
Well,
leave.
hopefully not in that mug. That looks rather explosive.
No, no, but I do it in like solo cups, and my family's always like, "You're gonna die of some kind of shit that you're putting in the microwave solo cups." I said,
Yeah,
"If that kills me after all the other shit I took into my body, then
yeah,
I'll be all
yeah.
right."
These are dice I'm willing to roll for sure.
Exactly.
but
Uh,
uh, but yeah, yeah, we met there, and yeah, ACP the mission continues, and the whole building out the citizens program continues as well. But as anything, it's everything's a work in progress. There's always fine tuning to be done. So
and
uh,
it led me to where I am today, and my partners used to call me and say, like, when the hell are you going to stop with this adventure and come back?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
was like, I'm never coming back to the floor. I'm just not Wall Street. I'm done.
yeah,
I don't know where I'm going to wind up, but I'm done with Wall Street.
yeah.
And then, as you know, about a year or so ago, about a year and a half ago, I got a call from U.S. Cyber Command,
Hmm.
and asked me if I would consider building them a program, for transition and veterans. And that was my out, and I was excited about taking that on. You don't say no to your country.
Sure.
Um, but it was a great opportunity for me. And I had
Hmm.
built so many great relationships in corporate America. I felt that I could be real successful at that. And that whole thing was helping cyber professionals coming out of the military get
Hmm.
great jobs in corporate America. As you know,
Makes
most of
sense.
your cyber folks are thinking about going to Lidos and government
Oh
contractors type
yeah,
of work. Um, I was connecting them into Bank of America,
yeah.
4,500 type companies. So it was a great program, but that was a 1 year pilot.
Okay.
And when they wanted to just extend the pilot, other than locking it in, I was like, I love you guys, but I've dealt with the government and I'm
Yep.
on my way.
Yep.
And literally at the same time, I had been advised. I had sold my firm on the floor a couple of years ago to a big holding company, and I
Okay.
had been advising them for a while. And they started talking to me, and they were telling me about a company that they were talking to about maybe aligning with. It was a service disabled veteran owned business,
Hmm.
financial services group, Wall Street firm.
There you go.
Uh, and would I come in and help do some advisory work there and see what it was like? And when I walked in and heard from the CEO of that, what they were doing, I was like, wow. They have a veteran transition program for disabled veterans where they actually go
Amazing.
into a hospital, right? They go in to read, they find somebody who's been blown to hell, and
Yeah.
maybe it's all mental health, whatever. But
Hmm.
somebody at the lowest of lows who think they have no chance of never mind a job, but a career.
Yeah.
uh, and our firm, Bancroft Capital, has a program where we bring them in, we pay them a salary, we get them licensed up, and we get them on a career path, right? And
Incredible.
and it blew me away sitting there.
Yeah.
And so I started talking to the CEO, and he said to me, "I'd love to have you come in and help me build this thing out." We're about to, we've been in business 5 years, and he's a combat veteran.
Yeah.
One of the guys first boots on the ground with Madison, Iraq. I mean, just a stellar individual.
Yeah.
Um, I was like, I'm in. And
Yeah.
so back on Wall Street, they pulled me back.
Well,
But
not quite the capacity.
yeah,
You
no,
managed to
and
keep
that's
your
what I said to
promise.
her. I said, look, my trading days are over. I am not trading. I don't want accounts. I want to be
Yeah.
an asset to everybody in the firm. I want to help veterans. And, the more money we make, and yes, we are for profit,
Hmm.
the more money we make, the more veterans we can get through this program and get on track to a great career. So,
Oh, that's
um,
awesome.
I get to hit both sides, right? Make a living. Because rich and poor, as you know, you got to have money. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I'm finding that out more and more every day. So expensive to be alive.
yeah. So yeah, no. But and then at the same time, I get to have that rewarding feeling of helping somebody after they serve their country.
Oh, no, and that's amazing, and especially if it's very rare that you can find something that seems to be mutually beneficial, for the company as well as
Oh,
for
no
whoever they're
doubt.
hiring in that
No, that's
regard.
God. I mean, God led me down that road. As we know, it hasn't, to the outsider, it might sound like it was but it
Yeah.
was a lot of
Oh, yeah. Well,
ups
yeah,
and
if you only
downs,
take the
like
long
everybody
view,
else.
yeah, if you only take the long view, yeah, it's nothing but up, but man, that day to day, that can
Yeah,
wear you down and definitely have some issues.
yeah,
Um
as we know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, certainly, incredible trajectory. I mean, you think about where you're going. I mean, obviously you had some aptitude for success. I mean, yeah, people make fun of McDonald's or whatever, but youngest, what was it, assistant manager in the tri-state area at
My
17,
claim to fame. I
you
got to get
know.
a McDonald's thing here. I should call McDonald's and say I should be a poster child for you guys.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, look at what all you went on to achieve. And it's not like, hey, it's not like it was accident or all attrition. Like, everyone above you got killed. It's McDonald's. Like,
Right.
even if it is in Brooklyn, but,
Yeah. Oh, hell, we should get a spot. McDonald's should be a sponsor of this damn podcast.
I'll see what I can do. Yeah. As long as I don't have to eat any of their food on camera, it's a
Uh,
deal. I'll drink their coffee though. What the hell?
yeah.
Um,
Come on, don't you like a good McDonald's salad? I mean, come on.
I
Is there
decided
a good McDonald's salad? I don't know. I don't go to McDonald's that much.
I don't know. I always got the same thing, but I just recently gave up sugar. So it's like, oh, that's pretty much the end of every dietary habit I've
Nice.
known since childhood.
Back into building up the
Yeah, well, I never left. I just it's like, all right, well, I got to get this diet in check, so, maybe I can lean out a little bit for
nice.
summer at least. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah, we'll see. But so yeah, and you were talking about growing up, of course, 8 kids in a two-bedroom apartment, different time. Speaking of different time, if you knew anyone who was looking to join the military today, would you have advice for them or?
Yeah, I think it's just like coming out. I think you have to strategically figure out going in,
Yeah.
right? Do
And
your homework. Go. I definitely when you consider what especially for me, I look back on it.
mhm,
I probably 20 years ago might not have been recommending people into it, but seeing what I see out here in the world today,
yeah.
to be able to go in, get an education, take advantage of every aspect of it, take as much as you can get. They
Mhm.
have a major problem in recruitment right now.
Oh yeah, they do.
So anybody who's listening to this, and cut yourself the best deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a great deal, you can get a great education, and I promise you, I mean, anybody listen, I promise you, just coming out and saying that you served your country for 4 years is going to set you above and will open doors if you work it. There's great, the same thing coming out. You have to do the same kind of work coming out.
Mhm.
It's not just like, oh, here I am, world.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do see, as we know from some of these cuckoo birds, think that the world owns them everything.
Right.
Bullshit. Not going to get handed anything on a silver platter.
Yeah.
But if you do a little bit of legwork and a little preparation, you're going to wind up in a great career after you leave the military. But yeah, I think everybody with the shit going on in this country today, I think it give yourself the time to see the real world that the military will show you and what it's like to really struggle and become disciplined. And I think it's a great avenue for a lot of people. Not
Yeah.
everybody,
Right.
but it's certainly not a free ride. That's for sure.
Oh, no, you will be asked to contribute or made to contribute might be the more
Right.
accurate, you
You
know.
you got to have a lot of patience too, as we both know.
Yes, 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 you do. Yeah, I there's not many people that I've talked to where maybe they would have done things differently or whatever, but they would have served, and whether that's, the unicorn that wanted to serve their country or, hey, I've got nothing else going for me. I mean, everybody pretty much across the board is, yeah, I would do it again. Uh I certainly got something out of it, serving 4 years active and then really got nothing out of my 6 years of reserves. Let's be honest, but you
Yeah.
know, but yeah, it's a lot to be
But
said for
you
GI
probably
Bill.
don't even know this. I went into the Army Reserves after I left. I
Oh, really?
so missed the Marine Corps that I joined a cavalry unit over in Staten Island. Yeah. And then my business took off and I had to leave. But I don't tell many people that. But yeah, check this out. I gotta show
No
you.
kidding.
I yeah, there's my army.
Oh, wow.
I did it, but I don't tell too many people I was in the Marine Corps and then the Army. What can I say?
Yeah, well,
But I did. No, it was great, but I missed the camaraderie of it. I
sure.
missed the uniform. So I thought joining the reserves was the way. And my uncle happened to be the first sergeant out there, my
Oh, okay.
younger uncle. And I did it, but it was only a short time before I had to leave. To my business took off, and
Right.
I just did. I couldn't, as a broker on the floor of the exchange, as an independent, I couldn't take 2 weeks off
Oh, no, it's
to do my
impossible.
reserve time. So I
Yeah.
had to leave the military.
Yeah, and that was a big reason for me too. There's certain aspects of active duty I miss, and I'd been out long enough where that when the prior service recruiter called, "Hey, do you want to do reserves?" Yeah, that sounds great. Then you get into it. So I guess my advice to people would be if you're looking to join, do active duty, don't do reserves. No one likes reserves.
Right. Right.
uh,
Yeah. Listen, I mean, shit. If you join the reserves today, anyway, you're going active. They pull everybody in.
Seems to
I
have
mean,
been,
I
yeah,
most of them, it seems to me, I mean, wind up on regular duty. So
for sure.
go set a plan, man. It's just like that. Just set a plan. Look what you're going to get out of it. Don't go in without a guaranteed MOS
Yes.
unless you're running from the law.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
In which case, they usually don't let you in anymore. They get real
yeah.
strict on
Well, I
that.
don't know. Yeah, it looks like they're letting in a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of waivers. They're making it rain waivers, so now's the time, people. Get after it.
Exactly.
Well, Tim, I
You're a murderer? Okay, we'll train you to be a murderer.
yeah. All right, so you're already qualified. Yeah.
Exactly. That's
Well,
cool.
well, Tim, I really appreciate you coming on and telling me all that stuff and dumping the dark, dirty secret of you having been in the Army Reserves. I will forgive that. I understand. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Uh,
Yeah. It was fun. It was an interesting herd, let me tell you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Cavalry unit. Yeah, the post commander at my American Legion Hall was cavalry in Vietnam.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely would go to battle with these guys.
Yeah,
I mean, I
great group.
really I got a kick out of it. I just don't think I'd want to be in front.
No, no, nope. Uh-uh. Well, and I don't think I'd want to do Weekend Warrior because it's just kind of, I don't know. For me, even with the Navy Reserves, it was like week to week, month to month. I forgot what we were doing. Like, what am
Yeah.
I doing
Yeah,
again?
especially going from the Marine to the Army,
Oh yeah.
it is culture shock. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not knocking it, soldiers. Gav, I love you. But at the end of the day, they're different services. And so I had this expectation uh, that I was going into a Marine Corps Reserve type of unit, and it just is different.
Of course. Yeah. Yep. Every branch is different. But yeah, I
Sure.
again really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything that anything you want to put out there? Any links, promotions?
Yeah, I'm good. Listen, I will say this: find me on LinkedIn. They if you're especially if you're a transition and service member, and I can help you. I have a huge network. I know. I don't want to say all, but most of the talent people in corporate America. Just about hundreds of companies that I'm interconnected with. If I can open a door for you, I'm happy to do so.
That's awesome, Tim. And I will say, maybe you don't know everyone, but everyone knows you. So if you cold call them, they're gonna know without looking at the caller ID who it is. So your
You're the
rep
best, AB.
your reputation precedes you. And again, thank you so much for coming on. And I'll put your LinkedIn link in the YouTube and podcast description so people can come find you.
Outstanding.
All
It
right.
was great to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Have a great rest of your Saturday morning.